think Adeline or Adeline Clark,
Clark, right?
Representative
Yeah,
Clark.
Representative Clark. Okay, and she's out in the hall, and she will be in.
We've all just met her today,
Yeah.
and very appreciative of her coming and joining us.
And she's very excited from what she's been briefed about what's going on and what you all doing in the overall partners program. So that's helpful. I think we'll have time. Yeah, I think we'll have time if we get started quick enough to do 3 complete rounds. So not everybody will get to meet with both, but most of you will, and they'll get to hear 2 versions of one bill and 1 version of the other, each of them. Okay, which is good. But most of you will get to present, well, you'll all get to present twice, and that's kind of good. That helps. 2 different people, 2 different styles. And that's what will be helpful to learn they're all different. Here we go. Okay. So is your table complete now over here? No, wait. Oh. Okay, is this table everybody here?
Everybody's here for this table.
You missing anybody? Oh, it's only 3 of you at that? Oh, my. So you get 3 minutes apiece. All right, then I think since this table's ready and this is, let's get started. And the other thing I want to remind you is, please listen up.
Everybody listen.
Okay, while the meetings are happening here, you all can quietly keep talking or whatever. And again, at the meetings, keep it soft, because the legislator over here needs to hear this group, the one over here needs to hear this group, give them feedback, and then I will rotate them, and then the rules will change. When they move from here to those 2, you can debrief yourself quietly and let them have their meetings, okay? All right. Okay. Senator, Representative, we're ready to go to work.
Let me grab the other mic.
Yeah. Oh, here's Eric. Good. Okay. Oops. Go ahead. Go to your table, Eric. Okay. And your last name again?
Clark.
Clark, that's what I
And I'm
thought.
sorry I don't have cards.
No, that's fine.
I
That's
thought I
fine.
had to work first, but
Senator, I'll have you go, if that table's ready. Are they all there now? No, that one? Okay, he can go here. Senator, if you go there. Representative, if you would go to this table, please. And you all can do your thing. And the clock has begun.
We definitely want Representative at Clark at this table. She can go to all
Eventually,
4.
we're going to do
Yeah.
3. Yeah.
Okay, just make sure that's
Oh,
fine.
no, I have no fear. All right, start your meetings, please.
big 3.
Yes, so we cover all areas. But what we're here to talk to you about today is House Bill 105.
Okay.
And that's issued by the state of Alabama, sponsored by Mike Ball.
Yes.
And we're advocating and asking you for your support for this bill.
Okay, now I have not had a chance to read House Bill 105. Melvin, will you tell me what that bill proposes?
Well, I'm gonna let Ms. Melissa Hall,
Yes.
give you a opinion on that, 'cause
Yes. Do you have any earthly idea how many bills come before the Alabama legislature every year? You want to guess?
we talked about it in class, and I think it's several hundred.
It's typically over 1,000 bills are introduced every regular session of the legislature, and roughly a third of those get passed. So that means roughly 2/3 of those don't.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
And I just share that so that you understand that I'm not slacking when I haven't read this bill.
Yes, ma'am.
It's just I haven't gotten around to it.
Yes, ma'am, I understand. We want to make sure we give you good information, and if you don't have what we have.
So
we'll get-
Melissa's going to tell me what it's about.
Yes, ma'am. I'm just going to read you exact verbiage. This bill would establish a registry for individuals who have been convicted of certain crimes against elders or who have found by the Department of Human Resources to have committed various forms of elder abuse or abuse against adults in need of
I don't
protective
need
services.
anything now because I'm basically listening, and if I say anything, it's going to be just.
It does. And needed.
Yes, yes, indeed.
And so our next presenter, Ms. Betty, will go ahead and give you an example.
Give me just a minute to pull up this picture. My phone has not been cooperating like I wanted to. I just updated it to the next bill, and it's got a mind of its own. It puts what it wants on there. It is.
Melissa, do you remember whether that bill carries penalties for elder
I
abuse?
do not know that, Representative, but I will look that up, and if I can find that before our meeting, then I'll let you know.
Yes.
If not, I will find out and let you know.
Thank you. Well, in the meantime, I will read the bill as well.
Okay.
But thank you.
What you looking for, Ms. Betty?
I was looking for the picture of my
It
dog.
says criminal penalties, section
I put it on the very end, but it's
38-9-8.
not coming up.
Just go back
And
to the
does it
text that I
cite?
sent you.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
I do not see that.
That's okay. Well, I'll find it.
Okay.
Fine, Claire, are you asking if there
And so-
are penalties on the perpetrator or penalties if somebody who's on the registry still gets rehired?
For the perpetrator. Yes, yes.
Okay, this is who I'm going to be telling you about. This is my daughter, and she was in a group home.
Yes, she's beautiful.
Thank you. And my story's personal because it involves this daughter. She was in a group home for a number of years, and she was abused by the employees that worked at the home. It was sexual abuse. And 9%, when they were approached with the discovery of the abuse, 9% of the employees that were there admitted to it. So there is some proof. And in
That's statistics quoted from the a particular department.
showed that in a 2020 study from the World Health Organization that 9% of the people, of the staff admitted to this type of abuse
You said of the South? These were employees working at
at the group homes.
group
Staff.
homes in the South
The staff.
in particular?
Staff, did you say
Well,
south or?
you know, I honestly don't know, because I did not write that down about the South, but it is in the South.
That's a very sad story. And
very
thank you
sad
for
story.
sharing it. Your daughter's beautiful.
So what we're asking, Representative, we would like you to assist us in protecting this vulnerable population. If the employee had been listed on this registry, as she mentioned, that he moved from one place to another place, but if he was listed on this registry upon employment, they could have screened for this and found out that he was a perpetrator of this kind of abuse, and then her daughter would not have experienced this abuse. So we're asking you today to please support us in this. Here's our card with our information.
Thank you.
If you
Thank
would
you.
like to contact us for any additional information, and I know that I still owe you an answer to that question that you asked us, but we would really like you to support us in this endeavor to get this bill passed. And we would like to thank you for your time, your assistance, as well as your support.
Well, thank you very much for coming to visit with me today to make me aware of this particular bill. As I explained, so many bills get introduced, well over 1,000 during the course of a legislative session. Some bills are pre-filed so that we have an opportunity to read them before we get to Montgomery, before the legislative session begins. Others are filed continuously during the course of the session. We're 2/3 of the way through this 2022 regular legislative session, and it's not likely that a bill that gets introduced at this late date will even get on an agenda in a committee meeting. However, Representative Ball has apparently filed this bill in plenty of time. Do you know whether, I don't serve on the committee that this probably would go to, well, I'm not sure what committee it would be assigned to. Do you know
I
if
do
that
not.
committee has voted on the bill? Because it has to be voted, or it has to be vetted in a committee, and it has to receive a favorable report, as you all know, before it will come to the full House for a vote. So do you have any idea what the history of the bill is at this point? And if you don't know, I can find out easily.
Yeah, we can find out too.
Trying to pull it.
Wonders of technology.
Yes, yes.
Wait a second. I
Yes.
take my glasses off to read.
Just speaking of technology, I just donated the hard copies of the Alabama Code that I was given for my office when I first arrived in Montgomery. I just donated those to the University of South Alabama. And now I feel like I have some wiggle room in my office. Because guess what? I was never using those hard copies of the code. Guess what I do when I need to look something up in the Alabama Code?
Just go to Zoom.
I
Now,
go to
why
my- I go to my
is-
laptop.
Is it south because they're geographically close to you
Because it's our public four-year institution here in Mobile.
in Mobile?
Yeah.
Okay, because
Yes.
it's geographically
Yes.
close. I got
Yes,
you.
and because one of their lobbyists happened to be in my office one day when I said these books are in my way, and he said, we'll take them. Yes.
Yes, ma'am, I
Because I would have
understand.
been, in fact, I was on the verge of donating them to the library when I decided to give them to the University of South Alabama.
Actually,
they'll be
that's
well
a good
used.
thing to know, because I have trouble with eyesight seeing the small screen. And kind
Well,
of out
so
of-
so do I, and so more times than not, I actually call up sections of the code using my laptop, and then I click on the plus to make it as big as I can get it. Yes, yes, even with my glasses on.
It says indefinitely postponed as of May 6th.
So,
6th, is that last year?
Yes, 2021.
Yeah, so I think that's probably not a current.
Okay, okay.
Because I
but
think
but
it's
we
actually-
can pretend that it is. Yeah,
Can I,
So-
can you tell her a little more about what happened once you found out what happened to your daughter? I think it's really important for the representative to appreciate the magnitude of the problem when it wasn't addressed.
Okay,
Thank you.
when I first found out about it, and I did find out about it through their family members, other family members that happened to. So when I went to the people over the group home, they were telling me it did not exist, it did not happen, it was denied. My daughter told me that yes, it did happen, and that exactly what the other two family members had told me about their, well, they were sons, what happened, that yes, it was true.
So she's
And
able
then
to.
I started. And they tell me, yes, it did happen. And from that, I started getting phone calls from other people that were aware of it.
And so what was your next step once you knew that this had happened? What did you do next?
I went to the director over, well, I guess you would call him the provider over the group homes. And initially it was, well, they never did admit that it happened. The admittance came from pressure on the people that worked at the group home, because the clients were naming what happened.
And so, did you all file charges against
One of
the
the,
employee or the group home or both?
there was evidence that was listed at the hospital, and they were taken to the hospital by one of the other parents.
Your daughter was, please explain to me, was your daughter taken to the hospital, or was this another one of the group home residents who was a victim?
Okay. I told you, I'm not a very good. This is supposed to be set up. I have to tell you, that really did happen, but my story's a little bit different than what we were trying to present to you. So I'm just gonna be honest, I'm gonna tell you like from the beginning, what I told him last night, and this is true. Okay, MARC in Mobile, my son was in the group home for 10 years. And first 6 years were wonderful. They started changing the way it was administered, where the group home parents were either hired for short periods of time, and other staff was brought in every 6 hours or whatever, and they were not quality people. We would hear, when we would talk to him at night, we would hear cursing and just awful things that were happening, so we were very upset to start with. When I had two of the other, this happened actually happened in a supported work setting here in Mobile. And when I went to them, they denied it. They said it did not happen. All the people in the group home told me, yes, it did happen, including my son. I even went to Montgomery with this. And they did send down a team, but nothing ever really came of it. They put my son out because I was talking too much.
That's
That's what I
unfortunate.
wanted to hear, the
Yeah.
outcome of the process.
Yeah,
and
that's
why this has to
unfortunate.
change.
That's unfortunate.
And I'm sorry, I'm not
And
doing
so,
my part here, but
no, you all,
I'm telling you the
you're
truth.
doing well. And so, at what point did you learn that you know who the perpetrator is?
It was one of the other clients. This happened in a bathroom at
It was
supported
not an
employment.
employee, but one of the other clients.
Right,
Okay. Did that client have a record?
yes.
So if
Well, a record in the sense that all the others said that it happened a lot.
So
happened
is
more
it
than
your
once.
belief that if there was such a registry, that person's name would have been on it?
I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that when I went to them, I said, I want to know what y'all are going to do to keep this from happening to these people again, and from happening to my son.
to meet you. Thank you, Melvin. Good to meet you.
So I think she's supposed to tell us what we did right
Ladies
and
and
what we did
gentlemen.
wrong. I think that's what she's supposed to do.
All right, round one is completed with feedback. Now we will rotate and we will have, let's see, Representative Clark will go where Senator Tucker has been. Senator Tucker, if you would go to that table, please, sir. Representative, if you'll go over here. Yes, over there, over here. All right. And in 30 seconds, we'll start these meetings. Okay. Okay, much bigger group. All right. Start your meetings, please.
To Montgomery to meet with me today. I'm Representative Adeline Clark of House District 97 in Mobile. So what's on your mind?
Thank you so much for being here. We're going to
Yes.
introduce ourselves real quick.
My name is Colby Spanner,
Very good to meet you.
and I'm 23-year-old, and I live in Tuscaloosa. And my job is working at Levis.
Working, I'm a little bit hard of hearing. So will you repeat that for me? Your job is?
Flooded. P-U.
Okay.
P-U-B-O-I-S.
Public.
Yes, at Publix. Yes.
And
I have a niece who works at Publix.
what she does.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yes. Not a whole lot because she's still in high school and she goes there after school. Very, very good to meet you.
And tell her what you do in Tuscaloosa.
I go to college. She of Alabama.
Oh, fantastic.
And where do you?
I live in apartment
In your own apartment.
with my roommates.
Yes, yes. Are they good roommates?
A little bit talkative.
Well, very good to meet you.
I'm Kim Spangler. I'm Colby's mom, and the Colby Act is named after Colby. So we live in Birmingham, Shelby County.
Yes, yes. Very good to meet you, Kim.
I'm Allie McNeil, and I'm from Tuscaloosa County. It's nice to meet you.
Very good to meet you, Kim. Allie.
Allie.
Thank you.
And I'm Joanne and Mulan, and I live in Shelby County.
Very good to meet
This is
you.
my daughter. Thank you.
I'm Ashley
Oh, she's
Milan.
beautiful.
Thanks.
I'm Ashley Milan, and I'm a senior at Auburn University.
Are you?
And I live in
Congratulations.
Shelby County.
Yes, indeed. What are you majoring in?
Public relations.
Ah, very good. I majored in communication arts in college, and I've done a little bit of public relations work, but I bet you're better at it than I am. Okay.
Getting there.
Yes.
I'm Woody Gulan, Ashley Sad,
Very good to meet you.
Birmingham and Shelby County.
Yes, well, very good to meet you all.
We have Lisa joining us on the phone. She couldn't be here today. But
Hi,
she's
Lisa.
At home and wanted to say hello.
How are you, Lisa?
It might be hard for her to hear.
Okay.
Lisa?
I think I hear the delay, like it's
Yeah.
okay.
Uh-huh.
She's watching it live stream.
Okay, okay.
She said,
She just said, hi, how are you?
Well, again, it's very good to meet each of you, and I appreciate your time. I know that you have many things to do during the run of your day, just as we do here in Montgomery. So if you'll please tell me the purpose of your visit.
That's you, Colby.
oh, sorry. I was doing Colby app for like
Give her that.
partnership, like
The Colby Act is something that will give people a less restrictive alternative to guardianship. So that's the purpose. That's the Colby Act in a nutshell.
And so why is there a need for this legislation, Colby?
It's because
You got it.
I
Take your
don't
time.
really need no guardianship.
You don't need a guardian?
No, I give me my
Do
own.
you have one?
I'm myself guardian.
Okay. Then if you don't have a guardian, I don't understand why we need the Colby Act.
It's because
Tell her about your team.
I'm on the rain team, and they help me with making
So Colby has a circle of support.
Yes.
And that is a team of people who voluntarily assist him with his decisions. They give him support in the way of communicating what those decisions and those consequences might look like. They talk to him about different options, and they help Colby communicate his decisions to other people.
So who all is on that team, Colby? And Mom can help, but I bet you know.
Amy, Scott, Lottie help me with safety
And security.
Okay.
and Mom Kim help me with like independent living.
Okay. So Mom is on your team.
Yes. My dad is a employment
Support.
Yes.
and Winnow Brown is a spiritual wolf.
Mr. Lorenzo helps with spiritual growth.
Fantastic.
And Ceenie Evers is coming infusing.
Social inclusion.
So Colby, who appoints your team? Who assigns all of these members of your team? Do you get to choose them?
Yes.
Well, it sounds like you've done a very good job of building a support team.
Thanks so much.
But you have gotten to the point where you feel you no longer need guardians?
He has never had a guardian in place. So we're gonna hopefully be able to keep it that way.
So you appreciate the support team, but you don't feel that, so who would appoint the guardian? Would it be the court? Would the court, probate court assign a guardian to you?
The lawyers and the judges decide, right? But that is our attempt with the Colby Act to avoid that scenario. So I work at a provider who does residential care, and the people in those different group homes will inevitably, almost all the time, have a guardian in place to make those decisions for them. So with that, they lose a lot of their rights. So God forbid, if anything were to happen to Steve and I, Colby's mom and dad, tomorrow, in the event of our passing, our vision is like the support team circles Colby and helps him make decisions going forward, and that he does not lose his guardianship and he can still be his own guardian, so that we can avoid Colby being placed into a group home. And because I work in that environment, I can tell you that that would be the last thing I would want for Colby, because we've seen Colby do very well on his own.
I gather that you are quite independent. I'm proud of you.
And with those supports, that could easily continue.
Yes. And so how difficult is it right now to maintain his independence?
Oh, it's not very difficult at all. I mean, we live in Birmingham, and Colby lives in Tuscaloosa in his own apartment.
So if the legislature does not pass the Colby Act, what's the risk to Colby?
The risk involved is that if we were to pass away, then somebody, whether it's a lawyer, a judge, a well-meaning neighbor who doesn't really understand, would come in and say, oh, well, we've got a case here of perhaps diminished capacity. You need a guardian.
Yes.
And so even with the best of intentions, people would think that they're trying to help and place a guardian, but then those rights are gone, and then Colby could end up in a group home. And those things really, really scare us.
I understand. And Kim, thank you so much. You told me that twice, but I needed for you to explain that to me twice. So thank you for your patience with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Would anyone else like to add? Are you all in support of the Colby Act?
Yes, we are, and.
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, you go ahead.
I'll tell you, I'm just a senior at Auburn, and I've lived in the Kissimmee before. I've had caregivers, but they've looked down on me and kind of treated me like I was a child. So
And you are not.
So I just kind of want to make my own decision. Well, those caregivers mean a lot, and I know that they're trying to help.
Yes.
Like I'm my own person, and I need to have my independence.
But do you also
So
have
does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Very much so. And like Colby, do you also have a support system that you can depend on?
I haven't created one, but
She has her family and
Yes.
her church family.
yes.
So you do indeed have
Yeah.
a support. You have a village that you can depend on.
Yes.
And you have the most beautiful smile.
Thank you.
Yes. So when is graduation?
Graduation
Is it this?
that'll be a while because I take 3 classes at a time.
How many?
3.
3? That's a lot.
But I'm a senior right now.
Yes. So you probably are going to graduate maybe in 2023?
Maybe. Yes.
Well, I'm going to be cheering for you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to be looking for you too. I think there's a place for you out there in the public relations world.
Thank you.
Yes.
Gonna have to invite her to your graduation.
Oh, that would be nice. Yes.
I've personally seen and experienced firsthand negative effects of full guardianship. I worked with a coworker who was under full guardianship. She was able to hold a job, live independently in her own apartment, drive a vehicle, but had the confines of a guardianship that decided who she hung out with, who she dated, if she had Wi-Fi or not. So, I mean, you do have some very negative impacts of guardianship, but at the same time, with the Colby Act and supportive decision making, it's something that we're all going to be faced with at some point in our life. I mean, whether we realize it or not, if you have a financial advisor or an accountant, you in and of yourself are receiving supportive decision making. And we can take the Colby Act and not just use it for people with disabilities, but through a wide range, a spectrum of people from an early age all the way through end of life. So disabilities, the aging out of the foster care system, end of life, aging, and so forth. And it's something that we're all going to be faced with at some point in our life.
So now you all are, this is new information for me. I was unaware that this bill has been drafted, and I presume it's already been filed.
We don't have it filed yet.
You have not. Do you have a sponsor for the bill?
We're looking for a co-sponsor. We have a sponsor, and that sponsor wants a co-sponsor because it is truly a bipartisan issue.
Okay.
And the reason for that is that if the Colby Act were to pass, you would be able to look 20 years down the road, 10 years down the road, and see much less dependence on government assistance for people like Colby or people like Ashley, because they're living independently, they're holding down their own jobs, they're contributing to society in a meaningful way.
Yes.
I got one question. Do you know how long it would take to pass a bill?
How long is this gonna
And let me
take?
just stop there. This is now, that's a good question, and then some feedback from the members.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the time varies, and I'd be happy to have a sidebar conversation with you about that. So there is a bill sponsor. Do you know who it is?
Mr. Gill Isbell.
Oh, really? I sit next to him.
Oh.
He has not mentioned this bill to me, so I will let him know that I met with you all and that I would be happy to be a co-sponsor on the bill, and I'll see if I can't help him get some other co-sponsors. The more co-sponsors, the better. Just because someone signs the bill, and there's a folder that the bill fits into, and,
Right.
and people sign on the outside of that bill as co-sponsors. Just because you sign on as a co-sponsor doesn't necessarily guarantee that that you're going to vote for the bill.
Correct.
Because bills change. Amendments get added in committees. An amendment can be added on the floor of the House or the Senate, and it could change somebody's mind about that bill.
Right.
However, typically, the more co-sponsors you have for a bill actually going into the process, the greater the likelihood that you're going to be able to get that bill passed. So I'd be happy to be one of the co-sponsors.
Wonderful.
That would be wonderful.
Thank you.
So thank you all for coming to visit with me today. Colby, Ashley, I appreciate your time, and parents and supporters for coming, because I was not aware, even though I sit right next to Representative Isbell, I was unaware of this legislation. But as I often tell people, over 1,000 bills get introduced during every regular session of the
Right.
legislature, and we just can't know about
no
each and every one. So when people, nice people like yourselves, come to visit us, you often are enlightening us. So I appreciate that you've come to do that today.
Thank
And
you.
to advocate for
Thank
this
you for
bill.
having
Yes,
us.
Thank you all,
your time.
and good luck.
Thank you.
And let me just add one thing, because it'll help you as other people challenge this down the road, and they will. This bill doesn't say some people may not need a guardian.
Right.
It says we need more choices. This is another choice, as is healthcare power of attorney, durable power of attorney, et cetera.
Yes.
And you can see from the stories here, it can make a profound difference, because I'm sure you know, and I just want to reiterate, guardianship, the way it is interpreted in most courts, means total incompetency, and therefore I'm in charge of your life. I don't have to care what you think about or whatever. I know what's good for you.
Yes,
You can tell for these two folks, that would be criminal.
exactly. Yes, yes. Well, thank you all again. and-
Thank you so much.
And good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You were
Okay, we need to move to the next part. Senator, up here, please, take one of these chairs. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry, I need to end this. Representative, I'd like you to come up here, please. Eric, I need you. Yeah.
I didn't realize they were doing right here.
Just in case anybody has questions in the audience, we can use the other ones.
I was going to have any pocket that you want.
Hello. How are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing well, I appreciate you being here. I'm gonna go ahead and mic you up.
Yes.
If you would just pinch your shirt a little bit.
I've got this one.
All right, pinch my shirt a little bit. How about, does that work?
I think if it'll fold in, if I could do it.
All right, does that work better?
I think that's perfect. And then this can go in any pocket that you'd like. Or it can kind of clip on a pocket.
Okay, are we wired?
So
All right.
I'm the pretender. I will follow your lead.
All right. First, everybody, would you acknowledge with applause, thank you, Representative Clark and Senator Orr for giving time this morning. Again, it's a Saturday morning, special retreat time. Okay. So, several of you had 2 meetings, some of you only had 1, but you all had the experience. And what I'd like to do first, before seeing if you have any more questions, is for Representative Clark to sort of give you an overview of some feedback and sort of what are her expectations from her constituents when they come to see her or call her or meet with her. And then we'll go to the senator. So Representative Clark, thank you again for being here. And you might want to introduce yourself for the people who didn't directly meet you.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Adeline Clark, and I welcome you to House District 97. I'm at home. I can actually walk from home to the Riverview, the Renaissance Riverview, without passing out. In fact, I do walk. This is on my route when I have an opportunity to walk. And that's typically not during the session, although I probably need to walk just to vent, to release some of the anxiety that sometimes comes with serving in the legislature. It was a really tough week there for some of us this particular week. I've been serving in the legislature since 2013. I filled an unexpired term of a former community college president who I think had served for 30 plus years. And so I've had people say, oh, you're gonna serve 30 plus years and I'm gonna be in heaven. Well, she, I think, probably was first elected when she was in her 20s, and I was well beyond that point when I was elected. But am honored to serve in the Alabama legislature. As I told these ladies, I'm one of a record number of women who are serving currently. There are 18 of us serving in the Alabama House of Representatives. I need some of you all to come and run too so that we can increase that number, because that's 18 of 105. And I think we should do a better job of reflecting our population here in Alabama. I honestly believe that some of you all are not new at this. Some of you all just did a very good job. And I should have asked, have any of you all come to the legislature to lobby us in the past? Yeah, see, I knew it. I knew some of you all had done this before. You did a very good job. Each of the groups did a very good job. I'd have to say that this group was smaller, so you didn't have as many voices, but you still did a very good job of presenting the issue that you wanted me to be aware of. So I appreciate that you did do a good job with just 3 of you. But in the other 2 groups, you had big enough numbers, which is a good thing when you can bring, and I said that they came to Montgomery. I don't know whether we were meeting locally or in Montgomery, but if this size group came to Montgomery, that you really get our attention. That says that you've got a lot of support, and that you feel strongly about what it is that you're doing. So, 8, 10 people coming to meet with me to discuss an issue gets more attention than if just 1 person or just 3 people came. So I could appreciate the larger groups. You all seem to have done your homework. I only asked 1 or 2 questions that you could not answer, but that's okay. Over here, is it Gwen? No, I'm sorry. Melissa. And I had to write names down. I should have looked so that I did not embarrass myself. Melissa, thank you for that beautiful smile, for understanding. But she promised that she would get back with me and answer a question that she was unable to answer at that moment. And that was important. And here, tell me your name again. I didn't write, yes? Jennifer. And so Jennifer at the end said, do you have any other questions that we can answer for you? And that was very important. She didn't, the group wanted me to know what you brought, your presentation, but in addition to what you all shared with me, Jennifer was well aware that maybe there was something that she didn't tell me or that you all didn't tell me as a group. So she asked, do you have questions of us? And that's important, always do that. I just am so proud of Kyle and Ashley and Kobe. You all did an outstanding job. I appreciate having the opportunity to speak with you all this morning. And so I'm going to pass the baton, but I will come back.
Thank you so much. Senator Orr.
I'm really not going to say much since I am the pretender here to Representative Clark today. But I think the main thing that I would share that the representative has not shared is that as a member of the Republican supermajority in the state, I asked questions about cost, and people said they needed to kind of figure it out. People were honest about it, but I think it underscores that you need to know who you're meeting with and what their primary questions are going to be and concerns are. And so that's a question that Arthur Orr is going to ask almost anybody, I would think. So I thought people did a great job. We have important issues here. I think this illustrates that you're not going to get exactly the same meeting depending on who you're meeting with among the 140 members of the House and the Senate. The one other observation that I would make is that there were one or two times when I sat down and it was a little confusing. I just wasn't clear about what we were talking about, what I was being asked, what the meeting was about. And so I think it's just really important to be clear about that from the top. So those are kind of my two main reactions. There are folks in the legislature who are going to ask about the money and be clear about what we're talking about.
Great points from both. And again, I believe on the legislative website, if you go look at the bill, particularly 105, there should be something there if it has what's called a fiscal note. And if it does, then you will know what that is. And sometimes bills do not have a fiscal note. There is no real direct cost, at least that can be ascribed like $1 million or $2 million. My guess is to 105, to add that group to the registry, there might be one. I don't think it's going to be a lot, but I don't know that. Supported decision-making, that's going to be real interesting in terms of Colby, whether there's any cost to that at all. But I think they're legitimate questions, and sometimes some of the things that we ask for have a significant cost, and it's important to know it, and not for today. But a lot of times, though, the cost can be misleading because you have one of the highest federal Medicaid reimbursements in the country. We didn't talk about it yesterday, but important to know that for every $100 spent in Medicaid, in Alabama, the federal government pays $73. So it's basically a 3-for-1 match, almost 4-for-1. That's very important because if you look at the total cost versus the cost to the general fund, there's a lot of difference. So I just wanted to get that in when that comes up when we talk about money. Okay.
I might add,
yes, ma'am.
Regarding the fiscal note, so that at least you think that's your responsibility. It is not. You can ask the bill sponsor what the fiscal note is on the legislation, what the finance department at the State House is responsible for developing the fiscal note. They have experts, the folk who know who to go to get costs. They will work with the various state offices and departments to come up with the fiscal note on legislation. And so if I were introducing a bill and I mentioned one, And you were so kind. I forgot too. This group, you all just on it. They ask, and this is something you all should do. They ask what bills I have introduced this session and what they can do to help me get my bills passed.
Yay.
So even if you don't do a thing, you got brownie points for asking.
But you got to do a thing.
Yeah. So that was important. But I have asked for a fiscal note on a resolution that I have introduced, and there's going to be no cost to the state. And so I hope that Senator Orr, you can find it within your
I'll look forward to your sending that over. Yes, ma'am.
He likes those kind.
Yeah, but you don't have to worry about doing that. That is something that will be done at the State House.
Absolutely.
But it is important, not just to to Senator Orr and the supermajority, but that is important to all of us. Republicans and Democrats alike, because we have to be good stewards of those tax dollars that you send to Montgomery.
And thank you for the clarification. There are experts who get paid by the legislature to do the fiscal note.
Yes.
It isn't the sponsor saying, well, I think this will cost $500,000, put that in. They have to have a very good prediction.
Yeah.
Is this $1 million? Is it 10 million? Is it nothing? Or whatever. And there are the technocrats who get paid to do that.
Exactly.
So yeah, good. Okay. Any questions or comments from the partners, participants, based on your meeting, other things, while we still have a few more minutes before lunch?
May I
None?
just, if there's not a
Oh,
question,
please.
I could just add that the Alabama legislature, I have people ask me all the time, how are things going in Washington? And I just smile, because guess what? I don't go to Washington. The last time I was in D.C. was long before I was elected to the Alabama legislature even. But I have to smile and say, tenderly, well, I could tell you how things are going in Montgomery. How about that? The Alabama legislature meets roughly about over a 16-week period. So we're in Montgomery only about a quarter of the year. So that means that I'm at home, the majority of the year. It is probably easier for you to meet with us, your respective lawmakers, on your own turf. It is hard to catch up with us in Montgomery. Please don't come without an appointment. You can get an appointment with us there, but typically we're pushed for time there. When I get there on a Tuesday morning, I go straight into 2 meetings. And if somebody's waiting on me to arrive, they don't know what time I'm going to get there, because it's going to depend on my schedule, which may vary. And then when I get there, I'm running. The House goes into session at 1 o'clock on Tuesday. We don't know what time we're going to get out on Tuesday. We have committee meetings. We run around like crazy all day on Wednesday. I have 3 standing committees, and then a caucus meeting that I go to. My Democratic House caucus might also have a subcommittee meeting that I need to go to. So we're just really running around all day on Wednesday like little rats. And so it's hard for you to catch up, with us. It's probably much easier for you to have set an appointment to meet with me, even during the session, here, either on a Monday or a Friday. Those are the days when we're in town during the legislative session. But then those other months after the session, I'm at your beck and call Monday through Friday, and Saturday and Sunday too, if need be. It's par for the course. It's what we signed up to do. We're here to serve you, happy to do that, but just want you to know that you don't have to come to Montgomery to meet with your state legislators. You can try to do that right at home. And an advantage to that is that you might be able to get more of your group to meet locally, whereas you might not be as successful at getting a large group to join you, in Montgomery, because people would have to take off work, and that's a sacrifice that you have to make. So don't think you have to come to Montgomery to meet with us. In fact, if it's legislation like the Colby Act that you want to get passed, you really need to be having that conversation with us prior to the start of the legislative session. You'll tend to get more undivided attention then.
Can you say a word about the difference between a citizen advocate and the paid lobbyist, and how you folks work or with each group or hear from them?
We
It's lunchtime.
most of us work well with both groups. The lobbyists, they get to know us. They know which committees I serve on. So if they need to talk to me about something, they may come and sit at the, let's see, my first committee meeting on Tuesday is typically Constitution, Campaigns, and Elections. That's the committee that vets bills that have to do with voting and elections. And if a lobbyist wants to talk to me about something that has nothing to do with elections or voting, they may still come into that particular committee meeting to stake me out and wait until that committee meeting is over to say, can I talk to you for a few minutes? And I'll say, I don't have time. They'll say, well, can I talk to you on the way to your next committee meeting? And sometimes that's when those conversations are held. But they know information, about us that you just would not ordinarily know. I mean, they are paid professionals who know the State House, they know the legislators, and they do a job that they get paid to do, and they do it well. They are helpful. Sometimes they are annoying, aren't they, Senator Orr?
Yes, ma'am.
See, they can agree.
I think there's bipartisan agreement about that.
Yes.
But typically they are very, very helpful. And I tend to be very honest with them and will say I can or cannot support legislation. That doesn't stop them from trying to persuade me one way, or the other. But they've got a job to do. Whereas when our constituents like you come to Montgomery to see us, or if you meet with me on the home front, no matter, I'm happy to see you. I honestly am happy to see you, because if you've taken the time to come and meet with me, you're making a sacrifice, and I know that you've got something on your mind that I need to take the time to listen to, and that it's something that you are passionate about. So I look forward to talking to constituents, meeting with constituents. I try to read all of the emails. Every now and then one will slip by me, but I get a ton of them. I enjoy getting the input, because it helps me to know. It helps me keep my fingers on the pulse of the population and what's important to you. And sometimes, well, not sometimes, with my equal pay bill, I can tell you that it made a huge difference in helping me get that bill out of committee, because I said to all of the groups that were helping me to advocate for the bill, I said, email all of the members of that committee and let them know how important this legislation is to you. And I had one of my colleagues come to say, call him off, tell him to stop sending those emails, because he was getting bombarded. And guess what I said? Keep sending those emails.
Keep on.
And it worked. It works on me. It matters. So even when you don't have time to call or write a letter, we don't get many letters anymore. That's old school. We get more email. Take the time to do it, to let people know how you feel on a subject. Tell me your name again. You wrote about transportation. I didn't remember her. I didn't remember her name, but when she told me about I remember getting that email. We do need to improve public transportation throughout the state of Alabama, and that's what she wrote me about, and I did read it. So keep those emails coming, not just to me, but to all of the members of the legislature. Yes.
It's Melvin Watts here.
Yes, Melvin.
You just answered my question, and I want to ask about where to meet you the best place that's in your home area, and so that's great to know too. We was talking about that in class too, about the letters.
Yes.
Special letters written about certain, different things. You said you get a lot of email. You like the letters better or the email?
Either. Either. The email's fine, letter's fine. I smile when I get a letter because I get so few of those. But email probably works best in this day and time. Sometimes, well, let me tell you about letters. If I were to write my local legislator, my senator or a representative, I would send it to their local address. whether that's a home address, a post office box.
Good.
And the reason for that is because, especially in the 3/4 of the year when we're not there, if a letter goes to Montgomery, it could, honestly, it could take weeks for me to get it. And the reason for that is because the people who are there handling mail, there are more of them there when we're in session than not. And so when we're not in session, somebody's going to eventually get the letter that you sent me, Melvin, and they're going to forward it back to me here in Mobile. And so it could be if you're inviting me to come to an event, that event will already have happened by the time that piece of mail gets to me. So even when we're in session, because if you send something, if you put a letter in the mail, say on Monday, I may make it back home Thursday night before that letter makes it to my office. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
So it's just better to send the letters if you mail them to our local address, or better still, scan that letter and attach it to an email, or do both. Does that answer?
Yes.
Okay.
Because
Thank
I
you.
actually sent some letters out, and I did what you said not to do.
Trust me, it's what most people do.
Right.
Yeah, most people, the public assumes that we spend more time in Montgomery than we actually do. That's why I was explaining that we're just there for 16 weeks, and actually one of those weeks is a spring break week, which coincides with the Montgomery Public School System's spring break.
Well, I'm actually in Montgomery, and their address is in Montgomery. But still, like you said too, if it's not their local, whatever, it could be their,
Yeah.
office downtown.
If you click on, if you Google Alabama Legislature and you go to our website, it will have House of Representatives and it'll have Senate. When you click on each house, it will have the leadership's name and pictures, and then the members. And underneath our pictures, it will have profile, which will give a little bit of information about us, our background. And then it will have a place where you can click on email. It'll have phone numbers there. And I think in the profile part that it gives both our Montgomery office information and our district, which would be local information. And if it's not there, I would call the number that in Montgomery or email whatever information and say, how best do I reach you? Should I use your Montgomery information or your local information? And if it gives both, I recommend you use the local information.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Point well taken, particularly given, as she pointed out, the bulk of their time is not in the Capitol. The bulk of their time is at home, in their district office, or doing whatever their work is, but that's where you're going to get them. And I appreciated her saying access for an appointment is probably going to be a lot easier and more productive outside the session, or at least, as we said yesterday, to start the dialogue and begin the relationship, and then maybe do a follow-up while they're in session. All right. Go ahead.
I've been working with the National Federation for the Blind, which has a desire to have the option of voting electronically, like our overseas military folk have the option of doing. And the bill didn't get passed last year. Wasn't from a lack of trying. Representative Steve Hurst carried the bill. The state president of that, the president of the Alabama affiliate of the National Federation for the Blind lives in Mobile, and we've developed a pretty good working relationship. And they changed, the draft that they offered this time around changed the bill significantly. But I didn't get the change until maybe 2 weeks ago. And so I've been going back and forth with the organization, with the Secretary of State's office. And so when I gave input to that organization from the Secretary of State's office, I got an email back last night, I think, saying, we don't like what that office wants to do. We want the bill passed exactly as we've proposed it. Well, few bills get passed exactly as anybody proposes them. You've got to negotiate typically. And then you may turn around later and get the bill amended to strengthen it or to get some of what was taken out of it the first time around. But at any rate, I said to my friend here with the National Federation of the Blind that It's very late now in the session. We're 2/3 of the way through, and it's just not humanly possible at this point that with what they want, that I can get the bill even on an agenda in a committee at this point. So this is some things that we should have ironed out even before the session started. There just isn't enough time to get it done during the session.
What a great point. Timing is everything.
Yes, it
And I
is.
think what you also heard, which is so important, and we alluded to some of this yesterday in the federal evolution of disability policy, it takes time to get where you want to go, and sometimes you have to compromise, and you only get to the 50-yard line, you don't get to the goal line, but if it's not inconsistent, take it, and next year you come back and you get to the 30-yard line, and then a couple of years to the goal line. But as long as you're charting in the right direction, that's progress, and that's something to be proud of. So thank you for sharing that as well.
I think Representative Mike Ball told me that he introduced the medical marijuana bill 10 years run.
Really? Wow.
My equal pay bill, I introduced either 3 or 4 years before I got it.
Wow.
Which was quick, and when you look at 10 years.
Yeah. Persistence, patience.
Yes, it takes patience and
If it's
persistence.
real, it's real.
Yes.
Thank you. Please thank us for joining. Thank you, Representative, for
Thank you
joining us.
also for your
Senator
work on
Orr,
the bill. We've been really involved if there's any way that we can help you.
really appreciate your coming and sharing your infinite wisdom and experiences. It is now lunchtime. Representative, if you have time, you're welcome to join us for lunch.
Thank you. I have another
Take it.
stop. Did you get it?